I think this movie would have been a lot better if Michael Myers had found somebody wearing one of those silver shamrock masks, ripped the mask off of their head, and then ripped it apart while that person just ran away.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Halloween 4 follows the continued adventures of that crazy little scamp Michael Myers as he goes home to visit his niece, Jamie. By the way, I apologize for the noise that you can clearly hear in the background. My girlfriend has company over right now. Now, when it comes to this film's predecessor, I don't feel like it was that huge a mistake to make a film that wasn't about Michael Myers. I do think it was a mistake in the first place to make the second film about Michael if they were intending to do an anthology series in the first place. Plus, after sitting through a movie about these stupid killer masks, I can understand why audiences wanted Michael back. I like how this movie, first of all, features a younger protagonist. It gives you someone much more vulnerable to fear for. And Danielle Harris does a pretty awesome job acting the part in this movie. You completely buy it whenever she's terrified, which is kind of necessary when you're playing a character being stalked by a big stabby man. I've never been stabbed before, but I heard it doesn't feel good. It's funny though, the entire time I was watching Hatchet 2, I was irritated as shit that she constantly had an eyebrow raised. I had a headache just watching her, but when I look back on this movie, apparently that's just the face that she makes whenever she's upset. Hatchet 2 still sucks though. Don't expect me to review it next. And of course, Michael Myers is just as brutal as always. I love how basically everything becomes a stabbing weapon when it's in his hands. Like, there's a point where he takes a rifle and instead of aiming it and pulling the trigger, he stabs someone with it. I'm pretty sure he could pick up this pop figure right here and figure out a way to stab you with it. However, my favorite part of this movie, the one thing that makes this stand out above the other Halloween sequels, is the ending. I won't spoil it in the slightest for you, but I'm just gonna say it gives me goosebumps every single time, and it is the one part that will stick with you. In fact, I like to imagine that this was the movie where the Halloween series ended. I mean, the greatest flaw in the fifth film of the franchise is that it follows the same group of characters and barely even acknowledges the ending to the film that came before it. I mean, there are no repercussions, there's no real follow-up to it or anything. It's just, yeah, well, that happened. Moving on. Halloween 4 doesn't come without its flaws, though. There are some subplots in this movie that are basically meaningless, like there's this whole lynch mob that gets together to hunt for Michael Myers, and it really doesn't lead to much. I mean, there is eventually a really cool scene that takes place on a truck where Michael is just knocking these guys down left and right, but that could have just been a random truck full of people that he could have come across. They didn't really need to add the subplot there. There's also a thing in the movie where Jamie's foster sister finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her when she has to babysit, and oh my god, it just matters so much. Fuck this little bitch that's being chased by Michael. I care about this girl that's being cheated on. Also, this is very nitpicky, but the first time Michael appears in this film, he's very creepy looking. His head is all covered in these bloody bandages because the last time we saw him, he got shot at and basically blown up and somehow managed to survive that shit. And I know how iconic and terrifying his original mask is, but I feel like it would have been very ballsy and very visually creepy to just have him walk around in bloody bandages the whole time. I mean, in the Friday the 13th series, they ended up changing out Jason's mask, so why the hell not? In the end, when I look back on this movie, it really doesn't hold a candle to the original, but it's still a very decent follow-up. I would say if you like your slasher movies and you're a Michael Myers fan but you haven't seen this one yet, then go ahead and give this movie a try. And that's all I've got to say. I hope y'all have a good one.